today's webinar is about the request to hire. We're going to dig into sort of more advanced features. We've done clearly a lot of webinars about this part of the platform, and it's a huge part of the platform because it encompasses also the position library and your remuneration library as well. And it connects everything together, but also goes into the offer, and it has a huge influence on therefore what could flow into the onboarding. So it is the backbone of the recruitment and onboarding, to be honest. But today we're going to focus on a couple of advanced features. So when you're setting up a form or customizing your own request to hire form or workflow, how you can customize the different, the two parts, the major parts of that workflow, which is what fields you want to capture and how they can be really intelligent fields where you can have dependencies, meaningful dependencies to make sure the form is cohesive and, it's not confusing. You don't have any fields that make no sense to be there, sitting there, waiting for someone to configure them. So we're going to dig into some of the advanced features, in particular the dependencies amongst those fields on the form, but also how you can create dependencies on the approval workflow as well. So for example, based on a choice in that drop-down on the form, you can remove or add a different person that you would like them to be in the approval workflow that require to, for example, permanent full-times versus casuals. Maybe for casual roles, the GM doesn't need to be involved. And when they are permanent full-time roles, you want to bring in that GM approval point, or the CFO or the CEO, etc. So we're going to go through that. And then we're going to, once we have a form all being customized and ready to go, we're going to then give it a test drive and starting from the org chart, trying to fill a vacancy all the way until we are at the border with onboarding. All the data has been captured about the offer, the start date, the final salary, final rate, whatever it might be, and all that good stuff. So that's what we're going to be talking about, but also the other exciting slide, the last slide here, is just to talk about what's coming up. So we're going to keep this as a permanent fixture on the webinars to keep people updated about what's coming up, where we're at with the various R&D projects. So there's 4 items on this agenda. One of them is very much directly related to this, and that is something we've been waiting for a long time, and a lot of clients have been waiting for a long time. Very pleased to tell you this is going to be live from tomorrow morning, at least in a beta mode, so people can start to play with it and test it. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much ready to go from tomorrow morning. And that's where you are able now to very easily give a specific access to your managers, whereby when they come to the org chart, they can only, when I say access, it's an interesting word, they can only access their own branch, meaning their own employees under them. But what I mean by access, it's not as if the other nodes are going to be disappearing, but they will not be able to do any editing, any drilling, going into the employee record. Apart from just seeing that node, they cannot do anything. As opposed to their own branch, that's where they can, for example, do offboarding, do initiate an employee update workflow, or initiate a recruitment to replace someone to fill a vacancy, or doing admins, etc., etc. You'll be able to really control what you want them to be able to do on their own only nodes, meaning within their branch, within that sub hierarchy that they have. So that's really, really exciting. Yeah, so let's get started. It's 2 minutes past, or maybe we'll give it 1 more minute. We'll get to the first item on the agenda, guys. And that is, we're going to talk about how you can customize your request to hire. So welcome to the webinar, everyone, and thanks for taking the time. We're going to get started now on the request to hire customization. So I'm logged on here. Let me know. I need to share my screen first, I guess, right? Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to share my screen. Yep, that's the one. There. Alrighty. So I'll get out of it here first. I'll start from here. So I'm logged on here to this demo account that I use for the webinars. So to go into the admin area where all your request to hire workflows are and decide which one you want to update or improve on, or maybe remove, add, etc. You go into your menu here and you go to account settings. And on the left-hand side, you open the job and then you click on approval workflows. In my case, I've got a few, and you can see here the type. So this is a change of condition. This is a new hire. So that's the request to hire. And I've got here something in draft, and I've got this as also another change of condition / cross-boarding, and I've got an offboarding form. So the one we want to customize is this one here. It is live. So what you should do if you want to really improve on what you've got is I would duplicate it, and that takes a copy of that for workflow, the entire workflow, and the newly created copy will go into draft mode, and so it will not affect your users while you're doing the work on it. See in a sec. Takes about 10-20 seconds because it's duplicating the entire workflow. So this is the one that I've duplicated. It's in draft as opposed to the live one that's available to your users. So your users will not see this. So you're able to go in here and do any experimentations about how you want to do, continuous improvement on it. So as you probably know, a request to hire workflow is made up of two sections. Section one is what we call the form. So that's the data that you want to capture, the fields that you want to capture. What's the position? What is it, full-time, part-time? What's the money for it, the start date, etc. And this section here too is the approval workflow. The way this works is you can think of it it's always going to be minimum 3 sections or 3 approval points. The first one, and you've got the last one, and this is the middle of the sandwich here, if you like. That's the only part that you can customize, meaning you can add the first one and the last one, you can't remove them because they are required. The first one is who's the person that submits the form. So clearly, you can't remove that, right? We always need to know who submits it. And so you can customize who will have access to it, who can submit it, etc. The last one as well, the reason why it's mandatory too, it's the person, after it's been approved, the person that will pick it up and start to help out with the recruitment. So typically, amongst our clients, it's 90% of the time HR is doing this. So that's where you decide who in the HR team will be notified that this has been approved, so they can begin the recruitment process. The middle here between the first and the last is the part that you can customize. You can have as many approval steps as you want. So I can add one here, approve it too. I can go in and customize what that is, or I can add another one here called GM. I can add another one called CFO, etc. So you get the point. So if we go into the approval that was there by default and click on edit, let's see what we can do with it. First of all, the name, clearly you can always decide on that. So that would be, for example, I'm using a hospitality business here as in terms of the type of company that I've set up as part in my demo account. So maybe we call this the restaurant manager. And in here, there's options to, by default, it says select from all users. So remember, this is the person who's submitting the form. So maybe in this case, with the restaurant manager, that would be the front of the house person who has maybe a 5, 6, 10, 15 people team, and they want to replenish the team, whether someone left, they need to replace them, or they are expanding the team, etc. And it's going to go to the restaurant manager as the first approval point, and maybe to then the somewhere in the company's head office for approval, perhaps. So the team leader here, which is the front of the house, has the way this is set up, they will be able to choose any of the users in the system as the approver. What you can do, you can restrict it to make it even easier by selecting one or more people and basically say there will be, you narrow the pool that you want that team leader to select from as the approver. So in this case, if we know who the restaurant manager or the people with those positions, if there's more than just one restaurant company with more than one restaurant manager, then you select them here. So in this case here, if I say, okay, I want this person here and I want this person there to be the group of people that the person will be able to select from as the approvers. And you can even have an option here by saying, look, either of them will do. So have them selected by default. I want all of them to be notified, so one of them will approve it, if that makes sense. So that's the different options that you've got. So manually select approvers will restrict that person to select from this pool that you're creating here, in this case, 2 people. Or you can just say, anybody in here. So it could well be that we know this is the CFO. We just say selected, and we'll just leave it at that. So what I'll do, because we're going to be submitting this in a minute, I'm going to remove some of that stuff that I've created. So just keep it at 1 approver for now, because you get the point. But maybe we'll leave the CFO here and we'll use the dependency. I'll show you guys how the dependency works. So for example, it could well be that I'll click on the dependency here and I'll say, I want to be able to only show this approval point when the position is permanent full-time. So I'll choose the engagement field. I'll choose it's going to be based on the employment type. And then I'll choose it's only when permanent full-time and add that condition and save it. So that means the CFO, by the way, we haven't defined who the CFO is. We'll select from all users, or we can just select a person in here and automatically and keep it like that. So now only the CFO will become involved in here, will be notified for approval if the role is permanent full-time. So that's the dependency, how it can be used here on pretty much any drop-down, whether that drop-down is a custom field that you created, which we will look at in a minute, how you can create your own custom fields, or whether it's a system field, which is, as you probably know, the engagement field, where the work type is part of it, is a key stone in the entire platform. And now it's a new thing that we introduced in the last couple of years, but we have something like 80% of our clients that use it now. And we're working with the rest of you to start to migrate from your own, custom fields to this engagement field that captures all your remuneration properly, including, the work type and the pay information for that particular work type. So the point I was making is, when it comes to dependency, any drop down that is, whether it's a system drop down, part of the platform-wide feature, or whether it's your own custom, you'll be able to set up dependencies on that. And the dependencies, there's 2 types of dependencies that we're talking about here, whether it's on section 2, meaning which approval point you want it to be introduced or not introduced into the workflow, meaning hide it or show it, or whether it's a field here on the form that you feel, because of this option was selected in that drop-down, not just one, a number of fields maybe don't make sense anymore. So you'll be able to hide them to make sure that form is nice and tight and not confusing in terms of what they need to do. The data is all makes sense and tight. So let's take a look at the dependency within the form. First of all, the concept of the form, it's 100% customizable. It comes in with a couple of fields that are mandatory, that you cannot have a request to hire without them, and that's the position and the location and the engagement. The engagement is the one that we will look at right now, which captures the employment type and captures also all your remuneration for that employment type, as well as the start date. The reason we call it start/end/effective, because it's a very clever field that can be used, whether it's a change of condition or offboarding, or whether it's a request to hire. If it's a request to hire, you want the language to be start date. But if it's change of condition, an employee update, you're giving someone a pay rise, or someone is leaving on that date, you want it to be called effective date. So that's why we say it's either of those. It's the same field that you use, and it's intelligent enough to behave in different ways based on the context. Instead of having to worry about 3-4 different fields and worry about in the contract, which one do I use? So you just have one, and it'll just make sense. It'll just work, no matter what the process is. The hiring manager as well, it's a useful thing to always, who the hiring manager is. By default, when you're submitting that form, you will be selected, but you're able to override it if you feel that you're going on holidays or you're someone else. You may be doing it on behalf of the hiring manager, so you can select them. So we pre-populated, but we keep it flexible. Number of hires as well is important. So I'm hiring, 3 people in that position. So these are what we call system fields that we have there by default, but you're able to create your own. Let's take a look what that means. When you create a field, so whether it's your own field or whether the system fields, the platform-wide fields, they all go in the concept of a library. And so whenever you want to add a field, you're able to go into the library to pick up a field that you've created in the past, or it's a platform-wide field, what we call system field, or you can create one on the fly. And as soon as you create on the fly, it goes in the library. So that same field, if you're doing another form, for whatever reason, you felt maybe you need 2 different forms for different sort of parts of your business, you're able to reuse those fields. You don't have to create the field more than once. It can be used across multiple forms. That's the interesting thing about the library. So in this case, we're going ahead and we're going to create a brand new field. So add from scratch. You've got all the different types in here. Got the usual text and text box and drop down and multi-choice drop down, different kind of dates here. You've got this one doesn't have the day, for example, just month and year. I'll just zoom a little bit there. File upload, label, numbers. It's a very, very rich library. I encourage you to take a moment and go through them and understand the capability of those fields. Just test with them, play with them. When the form guy's in draft right now, no one knows what you're doing. It doesn't affect anybody. You can just back out and delete it and just come back later, duplicate the other form again and do it. But the thing is, when it's sitting in draft, you can always come back to it, and no, it's not going to get in the way of any of your users. No one's going to be confused by it. They will only see the form that's live, and you have to make a form live. You have to click on make live to make it live. So it's not going to happen by accident. So I really encourage you to have a go at it. Unless you play with it, you're not going to realize the full potential of this. It's really, really powerful to be able to, not necessarily starting the setup from scratch, because we always help our clients with that process, and just to help them with the best practices and our knowledge, and share that knowledge from thousands of users that we work with, but also to just make the workload a little bit less. But it's more of a fine tuning as you go. Your understanding of your business requirements are changing, but also the platform capabilities are changing. So I really encourage you to think about fine tuning. And I've got now 2 account managers on this call, Blake and Jesse, and we're hiring a 3rd account manager that starts on Monday. So the idea is to reach out to your account manager, and we are doing completely free. We're bringing one of the technical guys in the implementation team to work with you on a session, what we call fine tuning and sort of Q&A. So that's where you can brainstorm. Look, this is what we've been doing so far. I feel it's not really the most efficient way. How else can we do it? So 2 things will happen. It's either just simply maybe you didn't realize that you can do A, B, C, D, or maybe we can share with you some solutions from other clients. Or it could be that, yes, you're right, maybe we had a limitation in the past, but now we've invented A, B, C, D, we can put it in here, and here you go. That's a better solution. So if you're not doing one of those sessions once a year, I feel it's a missed opportunity, guys. And we're offering these completely for free. because we just want to make sure you're taking full advantage of anything that you're paying for. If you're not, it's not something, I'm not happy about that. So that's where this comes from. So please reach out. Okay. So we're going to create a simple field here to something along the line of entitlement, maybe, or you know, what would you guys call this? The mobile phone and laptops and stuff. What would you guys call this? Can someone type something for me? As in users, not you guys. They think they're HR people now because they work with HR people. Hello. What would you call this?
Fellas said assets.
Assets? Okay, great. Great. By the way, speaking of this, we have plans to create a proper asset library that will be coming up, no question about it, by August this year. So assets, just leave it at that. And what we would do, perhaps you guys agree, it should be a multi-choice drop-down. And then in here, we can put, for example, you know, based on what you know you offer, you know, it's an iPhone and MacBook Air. I know we do MacBook Air here. Maybe you guys don't. Windows laptop, is that what they call these days? Okay. And what else? Car, I guess. Credit card. Are you making a point here that you need your credit card? He's been asking me for a credit card. Blake just joined last 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. No worries, on its way, mate. What else? Help me out, guys. What else in your business is what you would use? Uniform, yeah, especially in the restaurant business. Yeah.
Headset.
Sorry?
Jackie said headset.
Okay. Maybe Jackie's making a point as well. Her boss is on the call as well. Remember, we talked about this last week, the headset. Very good. Okay, so this will do. Thank you all. So that's how you built it. And then it's in your library if you need to use it. It's not as if I'm encouraging you to have more than one request to hire form, but a lot of our clients have got different business units. So they've got different brands, literally because of mergers and acquisitions, and they want to, it's a completely different kind of business. So they decide, look, we'll just do a separate form for this business unit and a separate form there. Or even the field could be used across a request to hire form, but also maybe you want to use it as part of the change of condition form. So that's the idea of the library anyway. You'll be able to reuse it across multiple forms. So we've got the asset, and let's talk about the dependency in terms of the form. So maybe with the assets, I don't know, this is not going to make sense. Casual people maybe don't get the assets, or I don't think it makes sense, but let's just do this. So we go here, we click on the dependencies. The action, you've got multiple actions, but we're just going to keep it simple and just say show it, or don't show it in this case if it's casual, because we've got multiple other stuff. So we'll say then hide it, and the operator here and or doesn't make sense, it's not relevant here because we're only going to have one condition. So we'll just do and, but really I'll explain in a sec what I mean. Select a specific option from a drop-down. So that's how we want the rules to be based on. And this is now where you choose which drop-down you want to work with. But I want to show you the engagement. It's really very exciting, which is what we decided to do, the casual thing. With the engagement, it's got a sub things to it. So we choose, there's only one option, the employment type, and here's we say casual. So what we're saying now is hide it if it's casual, if the casual is selected from this drop down. And what I was referring to before, and or doesn't make sense. If you're adding multiple conditions, then you're saying this condition and this condition and this condition needs to be satisfied, or you'll be saying it this or this, meaning either of those. So that's the Boolean. But when it's only one condition, it's not going to make any difference. That's all. So we've built that dependency here. It doesn't tell me. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Just want to go back into it again. Yes, it didn't refresh this automatically. This is how you know this field has got a dependency, and it tells you its dependency in this case is based on the engagement. Can you see that, guys? That's what I was looking for. It didn't update it for some reason. I had to get out and come back into it. So you can see this one has got dependencies as well. You might be wondering why this field is looking weird. This is the only one that's got that funny background to it. And when you hover over it, it's got the question mark. I'm sure a lot of people on the call know what that is. This is a feature where, remember, the request to hire, as I was saying before, it's the backbone of the recruitment and onboarding. It keeps going all the way to the onboarding. So you're building a workflow as the initial request to hire approval to get approved for the recruitment to begin. But then it's also when you're making the offer, you want to make final adjustments about some of that when you start to, you know who the person is and you're having conversations with the candidate or candidates. That's when you want to start to finalize some of that information. So what you do in here, you'll be able to have one or more fields where you go, for example, with the assets, you can then say, I want to defer that to the offer phase. So during a request to hire, it's not going to be fillable. It will be there just to provide that visibility about what's going to happen. And it will tell them when they hover over it that this will only be available during the offer, but they can't fill it out during the requisition. So that's another advanced feature here. So far we talked about pretty much maybe 2, or you can call it 3 advanced features. The first one is maybe 4. The first one is you can create dependencies between data that is drop-downs that are part of the form. They influence which approver can be interjected or not, included in the approval workflow or not. And we talked about how you can edit these to decide whether you want to keep it by default, any user can be selected, or from a limited pool of people, so the user has got to select from. We also talked about how you can create your own custom fields and how you can create dependencies amongst the fields, where I want one or more fields to be hidden or shown based on an option selected from a dropdown. And that dropdown could be your own custom dropdown that you built, or a platform-wide, what we call system dropdown. So that's the advanced features we talked so far about. And the last one was the fact that you can have one or more fields in here that you believe during the request to hire, it doesn't make sense for that data to be filled. During the offer, when I'm actually negotiating with the candidate, talking to the candidate, I know who they are, etc., they become fillable, and we will see how that happens. I'll pause now and take questions, guys, because that's a decent chunk of what we wanted to talk about.
Good timing. Reese just asked a question, and so for the asset drop down, can more than one option be selected?
Do you? Oh, it is a multi-choice drop down. I'm so sorry. So let me show you. If I go edit here, the type is there's two. You can see drop down multi-choice. I'll explain. So if I pretend I want to create a new field, there's 2 types of drop down and drop down multi-choice. I definitely selected the multi-choice.
All right.
Yeah. And we will test the drive it in a minute, and you'll see anyway when we submit. Yeah. Any more questions, guys, about the, this is the first time that I really drill into the admin features. Typically, these capabilities, our support folks and the implementation team work with you guys on all these capabilities. So this is the first time I'm actually going into those advanced features. I really wanted it to be the key part of this training, because we've done the workflow, we've done the test trials a million times. I wanted to really drill into those advanced features today. Any more questions, guys, about anything we've covered? Okay, very good. Excellent. Let's keep going then. So if that's the case, I will make this live, and we'll go ahead and use it. So as you know, when we're in admin, it opens a different tab, so I can just keep it here anyway, or I can just get out of it. It doesn't really matter. And I'll go back to the HR user, or to the hiring manager's view. So we're going to start the request to hire. As you know, you can start it from the jobs page, or you can start it from the org chart. We'll start it from the org chart. I've got here Greta, so I'm going to search on Greta. She's the restaurant manager of one of the restaurants. Here she is. I'll just open all the hierarchy under Greta. And I've got this vacant position, sous chef. I'm going to click on the recruitment little button here on the right-hand side, guys, to start the recruitment process. And from here, we'll have to choose which form. Because I've got two, I have to select which one. Gosh, they're both called request to hire. I didn't realize that. Let me make sure I'll delete the one that we don't need. Oh, yes, because I've duplicated it and done the end. So what I'll do, I'll remove the old one. Cool. And I'll start the thing again. There should be only one. Okay, so there's only one and it's already pre-selected anyway. And we go continue. So this, again, for some of you who haven't seen the org chart before, it really from this point onwards, it's the same. So if I'd started from the jobs page, which is some of you probably start from there because you don't use the org chart yet, then it really is the same. The only thing is it just pre-populated the position because I know the position. But you could have just done your auto-completion thing and selected it. Everything else is exactly the same. So don't feel intimidated because the org chart is there and you don't use the org chart or you're not familiar with it. This is exactly the same had I started from the jobs page and I've gone and selected the sous chef as the position. Okay, the location is really important. It's not sure if everybody on this call is familiar with the concept of the pillars. Are you guys, anybody who isn't familiar with the concept of the pillars? And I'll explain what that is. They are a group of platform-wide fields, system fields, about 8 or 10 of them now. We keep adding to them, that we call them pillars because they're very important fields. For example, the position, the locations, meaning the sites of the business, how many different sites you've got, where people work, and department, division, team, project, these kind of things. So there's about 10, I think now. We'll go to that page and show you what they are. But I definitely recommend that if you, so far as your client who's been with us for a long time and you built your own custom fields to capture this kind of data, speak to us and we'll help you to migrate to them because they will become the basis for reporting and business intelligence that we're going to be rolling out soon. So you can really break down your data segmented on that basis. It'll be a lot harder if it's not the system fields that you're using your own. You won't be able to take advantage of some of these smarts that we're doing and rolling out soon. So nevertheless, the locations, this is a restaurant business. They've got multiple properties across the country. And I'll choose the Dancing Dingo. And the engagement, this is the field that I was talking about before. Who doesn't use the engagement in their in your account at the moment, guys? Can I please just type in the chat, I don't use it, I don't use it, just the people who don't use it. So I want to know how much I need to explain how it works. Anybody?
So got one, currently not using it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. As I mentioned, it's about 80% probably now. We've got 20% of clients who don't use it, and we're working now closely. So do you mind taking a note, guys, and getting in touch with our friend to find out how we can do it? So just one company, one client? Two. Okay, so guys, first of all, it's free, completely free, and it falls in the same category to what I've just explained before. It's simply put, it's a system custom field, let's call it, although it's a monster of a custom field because it's got so many layers to it, as you can see. But nevertheless, so far, before we rolled out the engagement, we worked with you and put something together with a bunch of custom fields and sort of worked. But this is just superior. It's sort of the next gen of that. But it's system fields, meaning we know what this field represents. So when we do reporting and breaking down your employees and your data and your FTE and stuff, we'll be able to do that. Otherwise, we won't be able to do it, and you're going to miss out on a lot of features. And completely for free, and we help you to upgrade your existing workflow to start to use it. And that's why I wanted the guys to, with your permission, to get in touch with you guys to set up a time to explain it to you, and hopefully get our implementation guys to refit it within your existing workflow in a sense. Does that make sense to you? Have any questions, guys, to people who don't use it about what I just said? Cool. So you'll see now how it works anyway. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, the position is the sous chef. So because this engagement field is intelligent enough and it's already under the hood, so they decided, okay, there seems to be, it detected, the engagement field detected that this sous chef position was pre-configured by someone, typically the HR team, pre-configure your position library to link the position with your awards or your enterprise agreements or your banding system or whatever it might be, which we will touch on that in a sec. And so the engagement field said, this position has been pre-configured. And the question is, do you want to use what was pre-configured, or you just want to pre-configure it yourself? And we're happy to mute this option. If some of you say, look, we work very hard to tidy up all our library and pre-configure everything, we don't want people to go and do it themselves. We're happy we can remove this option. But nevertheless, hopefully they'll say yes, use it. And then this then shows them, okay, well, is that what's the employment type? That's really all they have to do. So if we say full-time, permanent full-time, then this is not very well configured, is it? Or is it, sorry guys, give me 1 sec. I thought that was really well. You know what? It's an opportunity to do it together. Let's go pre-configure it properly. Okay, so we're going to quit this. We'll come back to the form, and this will probably a perfect timing to talk about how that pre-configuration works. So we'll go to positions, and we find the sous chef. Go into it, engagement, and let's just remove everything and we'll do it together. Okay, so what does that mean, configure the engagement? First of all, we'll jump quickly to the agreements. We'll come back to the position. In the agreements, I've captured hospitality industry award for New South Wales, WA, etc. And I've got here the sous chef would be, I guess, under here. So what we're going to do, we're going to link the sous chef with these levels here, with this award, right? So I'll jump back to the positions, find the sous chef, and go back quickly to the engagement and say, I want to link it. It's an employee to start with. It's not a volunteer or an external contractor. It's based on an agreement. It's the New South Wales one is linked already. And, oh, yes. Okay, sorry. The New South Wales linked now, and the cook classifications. And sorry, guys, just 1 second. Your
phone's ringing.
Okay. Why it's not showing me the levels? The multi-agreement thing was selected. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to go into the multi-agreement thing now. It's an advanced feature. Okay, now that I said it, if you have, for example, the same award across multiple states, what we didn't want you to do, for example, you've got the same position as far as you're concerned in your business. It's a national business across multiple states, but as far as you're concerned, a cook or a sous chef, the job description is exactly the same. You shouldn't have to create 2 different positions in your library, call it sous chef WA and sous chef New South Wales, and have that data not properly being, in other words, the single source of truth not being adhere to or honored here, just because you have different agreement in different states. You've got the award system maybe different or whatever it might be based on your state's boundaries. So we're able now to allow you, we wanted you to have one sous chef position, but to link it with multiple states where you operate. And therefore, intelligently based on the location of your restaurant, we bring up those awards and those levels and therefore those numbers from that state. It's actually quite intelligent, but I don't want to do it right now and complicate things. So nevertheless, I've unticked it, and that was the confusing thing. So now we choose the New South Wales, we choose the job family, and now we're able to choose the different levels. So because this is during recruitment process, I'm going to select all the levels. So really what you're saying here is you decide on a level during your offer when you start to interview people. But if you feel you know that you're really looking for someone really junior, for example, then you can sort of narrow that down in a recruitment. You will see how it all works. So I've linked all the levels in here, and I'm going to say, look, for these kind of positions in our business, we only hire permanent full-time and permanent part-time and casuals. We don't do the fixed term and all that. So we're going to decide on that. Employment type, part-time, with the part-time and then the casual. Okay, so I've linked that position, which is the sous chef with the New South Wales Hospitality Industry Awards, and this particular job family, the cook classifications. I've selected all the levels, and I've decided that we only hire people in our business with these employment types. And that's it. I'm done with the so-called pre-configuration. So if I go back now to that particular position that we were trying to fill and bring up the form back. So it was under greatest team. This is the one here. Open approval. What I'll do, I'll just change this to start the process again, and I'll say, yes, I want to use the pre-configuration. It's an employee, and it is permanent full-time. Okay, just 1 second. Something is not right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to choose cook, just to get it to reload the data because of what we just did, and then go back to the sous chef again. Alrighty. Okay, that's better. That's really what I wanted to. It was configured with the multi awards, and it hasn't been touched for a long time. Probably we had some upgrades or something, and wasn't really functioning how I wanted it to function. So now, as a hiring manager, all I had to do is select its permanent full-time, and it shows me already that the way it's being configured, it's 38 hours per week. It comes from this job family and award, and these are the levels that are available for me, and that's all the information about the standard hours, casual, and if it's salary, what would the salary be? So I don't have to do anything as a hiring manager. It's all there, because I will decide which level, and I will decide if I want to pay them above the level at the offer, and that's what we will see in about a few minutes' time. So we're going to run out of time soon to get to the offer, so I'll just go through this pretty quickly now. And so what I need to do is select who the HR person is. I'll make sure that's the same user. Alrighty. So now if I go to jobs, this is the position pending approval. I can approve it from here as opposed to from my emails to make it quicker. Did I select the wrong? Oh, different approvers I've got here. Okay, so can I? All right, what I'll do, we'll do a new one very quickly, and I'll make sure I'm selecting myself. Sorry, guys, I didn't realize I was overindulged myself with the approval process, the customization, not realizing that I'm going to have to actually do it. So I'm just bringing the default so I can just select myself and keep going quickly. Yep, perfect. Cool. So that's all saved now live. So if I start now a new request to hire from here, alrighty. So here we are. We'll do this one more time. Just going to put the ideal start date. I'll just do that in 1 week time. And now I can just select myself as the approver. And the HR person as well. Submit one more time. Something mandatory on the field, on the form. Oh, sorry, we haven't selected employment type. Cool. Nice. So now, because I've selected myself as the approver, I can do it from the platform as opposed to having to go to my email. Just a bit quicker, that's all. There's another approval. So I'm the CFO now. And the final step is for the HR person to whom this position or recruitment was assigned. They need to just say, yep, I'm happy to take on the recruitment for this and complete the approval. There's multiple recruitment workflows happen to be in here. Cool. So what we'll do, we'll go straight to the candidates. We're not going to worry about the design and the posting. I'm going to link manually a candidate that I've created before, link them from a database. I've created James Foster as an example and link to this job. So now we have a candidate that we want to make the offer to, so we can go straight to the offer and show you how the request to hire and the offer phase are linked. I've got a custom step in my recruitment process called offer finalization / approval, because what you're doing in this stage is you're capturing the final offer, but you have the opportunity if you want to have it approved as well. So this shows me what was approved, all filled out as per the request to hire. However, there's one mandatory thing here where the level, I need to select which level. So these are the levels available for me as per the request to hire, and now I need to decide. It's level 3, and I need to decide if I want to override it. I want to override it based on the rate, yes, and what's the final rate. So the rate here, you can see it's $30.95. I'm going to offer $33 to make this more competitive to attract this candidate, because that's what we agreed to over the phone with them. So this now changes to showing me that the level 3 was selected. However, the original rate was adjusted to 33. So from 30.95 to 33. It's all there and clean and all in one place, and shows you exactly what's going on. Now I need to choose the assets, and that's the multi drop down that we selected. And I can type a justification report. I'm not going to go into too much details of the approval, the offer finalization thing. We can do a separate session soon about that. But that's where you can, especially because you're offering to go above the rate. We're paying $33 instead of $30.95. You can write a justification report and send it for approval. The approval process, it can be different to the request to hire. You can customize it, and I can show you that in the next session. Or you can decide if you want to submit it without approval. So this is where I can send it for approval. And when the approver gets the email and they click on the link, you can decide what aspect of the application that you want to share with that person. So what they get really is three different, if you like, aspects of the process. You're saying to them, you show them what was approved in a request to hire, you show them information about the person you're making an offer to, and you show them the final offer you want to make to that person. It's a very, very neat page. Just don't want to get stuck on it now, that's all. So I'm going to submit it with that approval. And now what we can do, the information that we selected, which is that $33, that's what will go into your contract. So in your contract, you just have a field called final rate, and the platform knows that you started with a request to hire with something, at the offer it got changed to something, and that will flow in there automatically. So it's all built with the onboarding in mind. From the request to hire, that digs into your agreement data. In this case, it happened to be an award, hospitality award. And at the offer, you finalize that rate, and that final thing goes into your contract. So really from the entire flow is all interconnected to create that visibility and single source of truth. And you're able to, for example, say with the agreements, I only want to have one person have access to edit this data. So you can always trust it and rely on it. And we've got some tools for you to do some updates, like bulk update. If you want to increase these rates by 2% or something, you can do it in bulk from here. So really, it's hard to talk about the request to hire without talking about the agreements page that we've built for you to capture either your awards or enterprise agreements, or simply a banding system. So this is a band that says basically minimum, maximum. So for us, for engineers, we offer these levels, and in this level, it's between 40 and 50. And in this level, it's between 50 and 70, and et cetera, et cetera. So when you're creating an agreement, or a job family, I'll just add a job family here. You're able to say, is this a pay point or is that a band? Band, it becomes, you have to enter minimum and maximum, or if it's a level, a pay point, just only one. So it's very flexible. That's why we called it agreement. Just keep it vague, because it can be used for so many different purposes in different industries, in different countries. They can use it differently. So really hard to talk about the request to hire in isolation just as a form. It really is the backbone. And, as we all know, especially in the Western world, pay information is 90% of what's important when it comes to hiring people. I mean, it's the biggest cost to any business, people. So you make a small margin when you're hiring, and that could be huge when it comes to the numbers of a company. And that's why we decided to take the remuneration really seriously and not let you use, a bunch of different fields, connect them together to create that. So you can create you can really rely and have confidence in that data, be able to isolate who has the access level to change the agreements data, and who can then just work with it and use it and stuff. You can then have trust and faith in that data, because it's so important. Does it make sense, guys? I'll take questions now. We've only got 9 minutes left. We'll take questions, and then we'll talk for a couple of minutes about what's coming up, what we're working on from the R&D point of view. Any of the stuff that we talked about, and we don't have a lot of audience today, so whatever the question is, could be about something we didn't even cover today. I'm more than happy to do that. I've got plenty of time, happy to even stay back. So go for it. Any questions whatsoever, I'm happy to answer it. While we're doing that, how about the survey? One thing I want to get your opinion on, guys, is the time for the webinars. At the moment, it's 11 a.m. In Sydney time, AEST. How do you feel, if you can just put in the chat yes or no, if we you've got a thing up there. Where is it? Okay, so you can see the poll there, guys. 11. So, but by the way, this is AEST. So if you're in Perth, or Adelaide, etc., just take that into account. So it would be at the moment for you, is it 9 or 8 even in Perth now?
3 hours behind.
Is it 3? Yeah, so it's 8 a.m., quite early. So versus, if it's at the moment 1 p.m., that means it would have been a lot better for you. It would have been 11, I guess. Yeah, 11, 12, 1, 10 or 11. And 2 p.m. as well is different. So take that into account. What would work for you, whether you're in New South Wales or in WA. I guess that's the major differences.
Everybody's saying the 11 a.m. is working good.
11 is better.
Yeah. Couple of the others.
I hate it when Eddie's right, but he is right. What can I say?
Yeah, it's good time for everybody.
Okay, 11 is good then, and we'll keep going with 11 o'clock then. No worries, Eddie. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for your help with this, guys. But do you have any questions about anything we've covered or anything else at all about the platform? Otherwise, I'll jump into what's coming up.
Just for you, Jackie, in America, this is uploaded onto YouTube afterwards. So if you can't get on to a webinar live, then you can check it out later on.
I didn't realize we have Jackie from America. Welcome to the session. And what time is it and where you are right now, Jackie?
8 p.m. she says.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time, taking some of your personal time, I guess, to jump on this. We will be doing webinars. We've hired Georgia, who's on this call, a new person that joined the marketing team. She's going to be full-time focusing on the webinars, and therefore she's going to have the time to be able to do separate sessions for the US that works for you guys within your business hours. So that will be coming up pretty soon over the next, maybe the first one will be launched in about maybe 4 weeks time. But I really appreciate you jumping on this at 8 p.m., Jackie.
Good. So no more questions.
Cool. So let's go into the second part of the presentation. Can I close this? Yep. Cool. So what's cooking on Mars? We have the access. Okay, that is my favorite part. In the org chart here, it's a request that we've been hearing since we launched the org chart, and there's been some other priorities as always, and we've been delaying the launch of this or working on it. So if I go back to the example of Greta, by the way, I can't tell you how great this feature is if you when you have
your screen.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Why did I stop sharing? Did I? Okay. Start sharing. Sorry, guys. 1 sec. Window there. Cool. Is that better? Can you guys see the org chart?
Yeah.
Cool. So I was just going to say, when you have a lot of people in your org chart, you can always, collapse everything and start and go down the branch that you want to go down. But the search feature is so good. So if I'm looking for Greta here she is, tells me even their position, etc. So here she is, she's selected. I'll open then this. So the feature we're talking about is when Greta comes to the org chart, now from overnight, from tomorrow morning, as I said, that feature will be available and talk to us how to configure it for you and all that. It takes a minute, but nevertheless, talk to us to make sure you're happy with it anyway. When Greta comes to the org chart, we recognize that that's where she sits in the org chart. And then therefore she will only be able to recruit and offboard and do go into the employee record, for example, from here, or to even the information that is displayed, this information here, like administration, permanent, full-time, guys, it's custom information. So by default, we only show 2 things: the name and last name of the person, full name, as well as their position. This information is customizable. So you go to here and you go into info surfacing, what information I want to surface onto this node, onto the card, and you can customize it and put whatever you like, including sensitive information like salary and stuff like that. Yeah. So if I go into engagement, employee remuneration, and I say, for example, show me the percentage of full-time. Yeah, I like that. or even the salary, the rate, etc. So as you can see, it can be quite sensitive information. So part of what we've built, you can actually say that I want the manager to only see this information, even the information just shown on a card, for their own employees. So when Aaron, they will only see Aaron and CEO. They cannot even see any of that custom information you have there. If, on the other hand, you don't display on the cards any custom information, you only display maybe the department and the location, which is probably what most people do, then it's not a problem. You don't need to customize it to that level. But that's the amount of details you can customize it. The more is what takes you into this extra information that you can display as much information you want here. Also, they won't be able to go into it as opposed to their own people. So Greta can see the more, click on the more for Lewis, but not for Aaron. Also, this menu here where you can do the offboarding and employee updates, etc. They will not be able, Greta will not be able to click on this for any node other than what's in her own branch. So she can do that for Lewis. She can do that for offboarding for Lewis or start the replacement for Lewis, but she cannot do it for anybody, for example, Percy, meaning at their level or above them. So it's a very customizable and finite kind of control that you're going to have from that point of view, pertaining to the nodes within your branch versus the nodes outside of that branch. You can really customize it to how you want it. It's very, very exciting.
Just got a question from Jane and one. Will the manager be able to see their own node data or only their team?
You've got the two options. Very good point. There's actually only two options at the moment from that point of view, which basically says my own node and anything underneath versus just everything underneath me. So perhaps we can move on. If no questions on that point, we can move on to the next one. The next one is the employee self-service. This piece that we just talked about was the last missing piece before we start to roll out the employee self-service. So I'm expecting within 4 weeks at the latest, we will have the first functionality where you'll be able to build your own form and decide who needs to approve it and roll it out to all your employees, where the employees can log in and only see that one menu item, which is the employee self-service. They cannot go into anything else. And from the employee self-service, they will see whatever forms you made available for them there. And we want to roll out up to 3 maybe over the next 4 or 5 weeks. You will have maybe 3 standard forms. One of them would be the leave request, a paid leave request or sick leave request, that kind of stuff. We will roll out those. It could be interesting because it will have capabilities to approve, but also to even sign, multiple people to approve, sound like a proper workflow, not just an e-form. So that's the beginning of the employee self-service. It's going to be very nicely designed because Eddie's going to design that from scratch, right, Eddie? And it's going to be responsive. All our e-forms are responsive, as you know, but even that portal, we want to make sure that's responsive. Yeah. The next point is the new job board module. Very, very exciting. We added so many features. So not sure if some of you haven't seen this. These are some of our clients. This is Aegis Aged Care out of WA. And this is the Pilbara Ports, I believe. Yes, Pilbara Ports. So I don't know how to explain it, but this is the next generation of the job boards. If you're not using it, I highly recommend you get in touch so we can show you how to use it, because you can have full control over it. To give you an idea of the level of customization, and you can do that yourself. You don't even need to come to us. At the moment, with the offering that you're using, it can be frustrating because if you want to make one tiny change, you have to come through us. This gives you full control. If you look at this, for example, here, you can customize this image here at the top. And there's 3 levels of that customization. There's background color, an image that goes on top as a layer, and text if you want it to go as a text on top of everything. So 1 or 3 or a combination of the above that you can have. Then you can customize in the filters if you want any filters or what filters you want to have. You can even have your own custom, the locations that we talked about, in your business where the sites are. You can decide that you want to have these to be part of the filters. It's a different approach to how you can filter, and it's very snappy and fast. So if I say that it says there's 4 jobs in Balmoral, I'd select that, and it's already changed. It's almost instant, so fast. It's unbelievable. And it's customizable. Also, you can have your own image in here. So if you're using, if you've got the multi-branding setup where you've got, because of M&A's, got an organization that made up of different business units and they each maintain their own brand, you want every different the jobs to reflect the unit, the business unit they're part of or the brand, then the individual logo will come up here depending on the brand as well. So it's got the multi-branding all integrated with it. You have full control of, see this color here, even the font, which font you want to use, you can change that yourself. The color for this, the color and the font for this, every single little component here you can customize. The name of that button you can customize. The font you want to use in the button you can customize. The color of the button you can customize. All self-service. So if I go here under the job portal, there's the job portal beta, and that's where you can decide on what parts of the platform that you want to, of the job board you want to customize. So if I go to customize here, that's the different parts. So for example, the header allows you to change the background, shadows, blah, blah, blah. Then the banner section, same thing. Then I open the ads, tons of stuff you can customize from the ads point of view. Then I open the footer. Again, you can see what I mean. It's highly customizable, and you do it, you save, you refresh the page, and it's done. You have full control over it. So if marketing says, oh, using the wrong font or wrong color, you can just bring them in, say, here you go, let's do it together. Which color do you want? Happy? Thank you very much. Done. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
All good. The last thing that we're adding on this, just before quickly I move, is if I go back to here, we've already actually added the ability to, okay, so with this header image, you can have above it now as an option, a bar where the menu can go. At the moment, the only thing you have in the menu is just the logo that becomes the homepage to take people back to your main website. It's an optional thing. But what will be coming in that same little header there, you can add your own pages. So you as HR, you have full control over the whole narrative and the language and the copy that you want to use about from the EVP point of view, the employer value proposition, to explain about why you should work for our business and entitlements and why we're different and culture and different stuff. You'll be able to add as many pages as you like from the same place, from the admin portal that we talked about, and those pages will automatically become part of the menu. We have, and we make sure it's responsive. So if you have more than 3 pages, then they go into, a more kind of menu and all that. So it's very dynamic, it's responsive, and this is 100% responsive. So you'll be able to add your own content and have full control over that as well. That is coming very, very soon. Within 6 weeks, I would say you'll be able to add your own pages and maintain your own pages. Okay, the next point we wanted to cover in terms of what's coming up is the last point, is the performance review. It's the biggest piece of innovation that will take place this year. So we want to, by end of March, mid-April, have something that you can start to play with as a beta version, or the first version, which will be maybe fairly basic, but it will be doing the basics to get a form with the right kind of skills and things on it, and all interconnected, and get that form to be used between the employee and between the manager, according to the right workflow and working that you want, and capture all that information. So those basics will be operational hopefully by end of March or mid-April. The police check, if you didn't know, this is now operational. So if you want to use the police check. You know, in a very humble way, I should say you should use it because it's super compliant and it's so easy to use. The police check for Australia, so sorry, Jackie, that's not for the US yet. It would work in the same way that the reference check would work. So if you're in a job and I've got this candidate here, you would have a police check in here, just like I've got here the, do I have a reference check in here? Doesn't matter. Compliance check, something like that. You just move them to that stage and then a pop-up will come up just to confirm that this is the candidate name. It's all there pre-populated. That's the position. That's the site because, you know, the police check request requires where they're going to be working, the position, is it volunteer versus employee? It'll all be there. And you go, yep, that looks good. That looks good. Send it. That's all you have to do. 5-10 seconds and done. And then from there, you would have you've got the police checks in here as a tab. It comes up in here with the status of, you know, with the candidate kind of thing. And it starts to update that status for you live as that's progressing from the candidate. And then it comes to us. And then do we submit it finally to ACIC, and then that status changes until the report is available. You get notified and the status is reflecting all the time. So you really don't have to do anything apart from that 5 seconds at the beginning. So get in touch if you want to use the police check, and we'll set it up for you, and it'll be amazing. Any more questions, guys, about anything we covered or anything else? Excellent. Thank you very much for turning up, guys, and especially for Jackie at 8 p.m. in the US. Thank you for your company, Jackie, and please reach out to clearly Pav and our team in the US, or even directly to myself. You're more than welcome to reach out. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.